You're listening to the Dolphinstalk.com podcast network.
You're listening to Dolphinstalk.com daily, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet. Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. Hey, what do you say, Miami? You're talking.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans, and thank you for listening to Dolphinstalk.com daily on this Wednesday, November the 3rd. Can you believe it's November? November the 3rd. I am your host, Mike, joined as always by my friend and colleague, Ian Berger. Biggie, Ian, how are you doing today?
Fins up, Mike. I was telling you before the show that I'm a little sad that we are where we are, that these shows are definitely not as much fun when the Dolphins are losing, but I still have fun because I get to spend some time with you, my friend.
Absolutely, and we'll have a few laughs, and we'll talk about... Look, as I said last night when I joined Josh and Aaron on the same old Dolphin show, which you can watch right here at Dolphinstalk.com, if we're not laughing, we'd be crying. So you got to have a few laughs about this stuff, because at the end of the day, there is far more important things in life than a football game and a football team. But first off, as always, some shout-outs, everyone. A big shout-out to everyone watching at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, a big shout-out to everyone watching on the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook group. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to share the video and spread it around. And also, if you're watching on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and hit the alert notification so you get alerted when we go live and we have a new show. So for everyone on YouTube, hello. So, Ian, let's start with this. First off, let's start with a laugh. Someone on our YouTube channel last week, a fan of the Bills no less, came after us. Why don't you explain this story and talk about your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was like 2 or 3 days ago, I want to say. They posted a message on our podcast from last week that he was upset that we didn't go into in-depth detail about how the Dolphins would play the Bills. It was one of those things where I thought to myself, the only reason a Bills fan would actually watch our podcast after the game would probably be to troll any Dolphins podcasters who potentially pick the Dolphins to beat the Bills, right? And I know we only spent a few minutes talking about the Bills game. Not even. I think we spent like 20 or 30 seconds because we kind of knew that we were in for a challenge, but it was interesting.
Yeah, we're honest about where this team is right now, and we're honest about where they are, the Bills. And there wasn't much to preview in that game. The Bills are clearly, right now in 2021, a far superior team than the Dolphins. And I know our fan base last week was tuning in to hear about the Watson story, which was, in full mode of just taking all the oxygen out of the room of fans of the Dolphins. And that's what our fan base wanted to hear. Look, our podcast is made for fans of the Dolphins, not made for fans of the Bills. And if you're a fan of the Bills and you just get joy out of tap dancing on the face of the Miami Dolphins, great. Have your fun. We're not arguing with you. You're a far better team. But we're not going to talk about that because that's not what our fan base wants. I have a pretty good pulse of what our podcast is and what it wants to do. We've grown. We've got a couple national spots. Let me handle the podcast. I don't need a fan of the Bills telling us what to talk about or how to run the website. We're doing pretty good, Ian. I don't need help from them.
I think we are doing pretty good.
I think we're
Absolutely.
doing okay. So, Dolphins, Tuesday, we have to start with the big story, but we don't want to spend the whole show on this, but we have to, once again, it's the elephant in the room. And we're 1-7. What do you want to talk about? So Dolphins didn't trade for Watson, and you think that'd be the lead, but it's not. There's so many layers to this, and there's so much more that the Miami Dolphins, first off, Chris Grier spoke to the media, and we'll talk about his quotes and what he said today because there are some interesting ones, really interesting ones in there. But, they confirmed they were talking with Houston. They confirmed, that the owner was trying to get permission to call Watson and talk to him. It's unclear if he actually did call him, but he did get permission on Monday to talk to him. It is unclear. But to me, asking for permission is intense, so clearly he wanted to talk to him. And he might have, actually. I don't know. So there's that. So I guess you can just I'll let you talk and share some thoughts on this, and then I'll go and share mine.
So my first thoughts, and I haven't made it a secret that, while the accusations and investigations were still ongoing, right, I didn't want to see the Dolphins make that move. So and actually I had a conversation with my wife, and she really wasn't all too familiar about Deshaun Watson. And she said, hey, listen, if the Dolphins did pick up this guy and he had all these accusations that haven't been completed, or, the investigations weren't over, things like that, she was saying, hey, we ain't going to get season tickets later on. So for that purpose, for a selfish purpose, I was happy that we didn't move on from Tua. And then from Tua's perspective too, and Mike, I've been on record since preseason, since a couple weeks into the season, I wanted to give Tua the entire season. And I said, let's deal with what we have to deal with after the end of the season. So for that purpose as well, I'm also, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I have never been, I know there's the term out there, a Tua stan, right? And I've seen that a lot, especially in social media. I wouldn't call myself a Tua stan, but I think I would consider myself someone who wants to give him, the opportunity to be what he can become. And now he's got 9 more games this season. But with that said too, that offensive line continues to give problems. And I think regardless of who's back there, that offensive line would give that same person the same level of problems. So I don't know if he's going to really have that opportunity for us to see what he can do, unless the line continues to grow along with Tua, for the rest of this season. But all in all, I feel I'm glad that the move was not made. I think everyone, I don't think there's one person that can say that the Miami Dolphins handled this the right way. I think they could have made the statement that Chris Grier made today. They could have made that statement 2 months ago or 3 months ago, right? Because we knew those
screaming for.
Yeah, those 22 issues that are out there were not going to be fixed in however amount of time, and everybody knew that. But on top of that too, one thing, and I know a lot of people are down on Brian Flores, and some people are unhappy with some of the moves that he's made on the field and some of the way that he's been coaching. But the one thing you cannot challenge him on is his integrity. And he chose throughout this entire process to not lie, right? And I know he was vague, and people were mad that he was vague in some of his his answers when media were asking him specifically about Deshaun Watson. And unfortunately, he was put in a really crappy situation because he was the one having to answer these questions. But he could have easily said, hey, listen, we're not trading for Deshaun Watson. And then had it happen, they would have been like, well, you're a liar. And he would have been like, well, you know what? I didn't know what I was talking about at the time. But he chose to show a level of integrity that you don't tend to see a lot with coaches in the NFL. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is here's why this is such a disaster on so many levels. If you're going to go down this road for all these months with Watson, then you better be prepared to trade for him, warts and all. They weren't prepared to trade for him, warts and all. So why put your organization through this? Why put your starting quarterback through this? It made zero sense. Mr. Ross, I actually think he's a pretty good guy. I think his intentions are good, but as they say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. It's just he's oblivious to what's happening around him or how his actions affect everything. And yes, this is Jim Harbaugh 2.0. This is Tony Sperano, Jim Harbaugh 2.0. You have a coach, I'm going to talk to him. See, the whole thing with the story, if the Miami Dolphins did not trade for Watson yesterday, and that's where the story ended, you could say maybe they'll trade for him in the offseason, whatever. But once it came out that they were seeking permission to talk to him, that's where the story goes to a new low. That's where the story goes to a new level, because that's where you publicly take your starting quarterback who took 5th overall last year and pretty much crush any future with him you have. And I know he's got 9 games to prove himself. He's got 9 games to, in Miami's eyes, increase his trade value, because I don't see how when you have the owner trying to call another quarterback, the general manager and the head coach who had to have known clearly. Let's not lie. Let's not be, as I say, willfully ignorant about this. Let's not lie to ourselves. They all knew. They knew how they can bring this kid. First off, Flores and Grier, if they're back next year, I kind of think they will be, which is sad and scary at the same time.
At least Flores. I don't.
No,
you know,
it's one or both. You can't be half
I don't
pregnant.
know.
You can't be half pregnant. We've done that before. You either
Is that like peeing on somebody's leg? You can't be half pregnant.
Oh, that's on my notes for Chris Grier because he literally today peed on all of our legs and told us to train. I mean, literally, that's what he did. You can't be half pregnant, but like I said, worst case scenario, I don't know what it was, but the Miami Dolphins found a way to hit it on their bingo card because you got a head coach for all these weeks saying, Tua is my quarterback, Tua is my quarterback. Well, the owner's behind the scenes trying to call Watson. Then you don't get Watson, but the owner's actions, which leak out, get out, all they had to do if they weren't ready to trade for him or if there was any reservations, just say, we're not trading for Deshaun Watson. And they would have not, if they could have said that in March, April, May, if they would have said it last week, it would have made the situation slightly better. They didn't even do that. And I don't know what the hell they're thinking that this guy's going to settle 22 cases in a week. I mean, it is unbelievable. And when it comes to Tua, you know, I don't see how you bring him back after this. Now,
So hold on. And Mike,
if you get rid of everybody,
you've been on record this whole year or this season, let's not say the year, but this season is saying the Dolphins have had to do due diligence on Deshaun Watson. So all these news stories, you know, about how the Dolphins are connected with the Houston Texans, that has been consistent. So what's the difference if they make a phone call or not, knowing that they've had, but I just don't understand how it has exploded.
If you're having a phone call to Houston, talking trade, that's one thing. When an owner of a team, you just can't pick up the phone and call another player on another team. That's tampering. You have to go through a process. When you are talking to a player on another team, that's next level. That's a whole different level. If it's just Chris Grier and Nick Cesario talking, or however you say his last name, that's just general football stuff. When the owner is calling another quarterback on another team, or wanted to, once again, I'm not sure if he actually did. It sounded like he might have, but the intent was there, and he asked for permission. He got permission, so he wanted to, even if the phone call was never actually made, which I'm sure we'll find out in time. He wanted to. That's next level. That's like saying that's Jim Harbaugh, Tony Soprano. It's like, well, it's okay to talk to two other coaches, but not when you got one under contract. You got one, so you don't talk. First, fire him, then go talk to Harbaugh. First, get rid of Tua, then go talk to whoever else you want. You can't do both. You can't. That's not normal. That's not how the NFL works. And that's why this guy is perceived as one of the worst owners in the NFL. I'm sorry. It's just you can't do that.
Well, I have a different opinion than you, Mike, on this. And I almost feel like, too, that, you know, many of our fan base is basically a barrel of explosives on top of a barrel of explosives on top of a barrel of explosives. So anything that comes out, it's going to explode. Right. So, you know, I look at that as an owner saying, all right, I need to understand. And Chris Grier, I know you said you're going to mention it a little bit later, but he came out today and said, hey, we're going to do our due diligence. This guy. And I don't think this is news either. Deshaun Watson has come out multiple times and said he wants to go to Miami. For what reason? I don't know. And I don't think a lot of people understand. Okay.
Because he knows he's going to lose a lot of money.
Great weather, whatever it is. But and you've said, if you're not doing your due diligence, if you're not doing your research on this player who is a top 5 talent, who has basically said he wants to come to your team, isn't that some level of negligence to say, all right, I'm not going to touch it?
How come Cincinnati didn't call? Watson's way better than Joe Burrow. How come the Chargers didn't call? Watson's way better than Herbert. How come none of these other teams called?
Because he didn't say that he would waive his trade clause to them.
He was only presented with trade options to Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and Miami. If these other teams called and they, he can only say he can't go through a list of 31 other teams and go, I'll go there. I'm not. He was only presented with options of teams that called. So, look, Chris Grier today, like I said, PM I look and tell me it's rating. I got a bunch of quotes here that make no freaking sense. Here's another quote. 90% of the stuff that was out there was false. Well, if 90% of the stuff that's been out there for months is false, at some point, speak up and say so. Don't let this drag on. Houston made you look like a joke. Houston made you look like a clown, because if they're spewing 90% nonsense, which I don't believe one bit, I think it was all true. That's number one. But in his words, if it's 90% true, stand up and say something and say this ain't true. But no, he never did. You know why? Because it was all true. Like, every reporter was right. It was all true. Everything was true. And that's why he's now in spin mode, like a good politician. Spin mode. Like, we had the elections last night. You know, one side won, the red side, the blue side lost. All the blue side ups, they spin. That's what politicians, this is all that was from Chris Grier. Spin. And I don't believe half of any of it because it doesn't make any sense. Like I said, if you don't, by that logic, Miami should be calling every team about every player who's an improvement, doing our due diligence. It doesn't fly.
You've said it before on prior shows that if the general manager's not doing the due diligence to improve his team, if the opportunity is out there,
yeah, but not in the middle of the
he's not
season.
doing his job.
Not in the middle of the season calling a quarterback for another team.
A quarterback for another team who has said, I want to come to your team. Who's made it very clear. So anyway, and I know we can continue to go back and forth. I have a difference of opinion on that. I think,
know, but this is why, once again, when this job, the head coaching job came open 3 years ago, whatever it was, nobody wanted to meet with the Dolphins. Vic Fangio said, not meet with you guys, because this is the perception of Mr. Ross and the Dolphins. Nobody wants to work for these people. That's why Chris Grier's been here since, 2006 or 7? Because you just keep promoting him up because nobody else really will take the job who's got any value. That's why we had to give our head coach 5 years on his contract when every other coach was only getting 4, because nobody wants to work for this franchise. And because of days like yesterday and what comes out, this is not normal. This is not how an NFL team. This is not how a successful NFL team works. You don't hear this stuff.
I can tell you that I don't think there's one person out there that's a Miami Dolphins fan that can come out and say they feel good about the way things have happened over the last couple months. I think if you are that one person, then you're probably been sitting in an attic without a TV or internet, and you're probably not watching our show.
No, you're not watching this show, clearly. Let's just go through some of these quotes.
Yeah, man, let's go.
Was there no concern that he would get charged criminally? There's a lot of unknown with it, and that's all part of it. But at the end of the day, we decided not to pursue a trade. But you did pursue a trade. That's a lie. You didn't execute a trade, but you pursued a trade. Don't say you didn't pursue. That's a lie. Chris Grier, when he's asked about Tua and Herbert, you made a very important decision on your starting quarterback last year with the 5th pick. With the 6th pick, the Chargers took Herbert, who seems to be a better player. Did you miss on that pick? Now, I don't expect him to say yes, but the tap dance, I would leave that for you to judge. No, you don't answer the question. You can tap dance around that. Don't say I would leave that to you to judge. I mean, whatever. I mean, that is a tough one. I'll cut him some slack there because I don't know what he wanted to say in that stuff. He was asked about the team being 1-7. We've added very good young players. Noah Igbenogany was active this week. 0 snaps in the game. Hunter Long, round 3, inactive again. Austin Jackson looks as bad as ever. He goes, we're happy with where they are. I mean, how he said that with a straight face. I got a bad allergy. It's called an allergy to bullshit. And this whole thing I was stunned watching some of this stuff today.
You just made our podcast PG, man. We usually are always G. Actually, we're PG-13. 13-year-olds hear that word, right?
It's
okay with that.
Look, it is what it is. This organization, I thought the whole Watson thing was mishandled from the start, and I think how it ended.
Well, I just think to myself, the Dolphins have done a very big job. I'm trying to get the right words, but a big job of trying to change the culture of the team, right? Ever since we had Bullygate, ever since we had sniffing coach, they've tried to change the culture. They brought in Brian Flores, and you kind of saw some of the shift, right, of culture. But I couldn't help but remember the news stories of, like you mentioned, Ross flying back in his private plane after going to visit Harbaugh, trying to replace the coach while the coach was sitting here in Tony Sperano, and it didn't feel good. So I kind of got that feeling too. And and people are like, he needs to sell a team. He needs to sell a team. Well, the soon to be owner is sitting there in the box with
like
him.
A son to him.
Yeah,
Bruce
he's
Field
probably
Jr.
making the same decisions with
He's
him.
a New York
He's
City
helping him.
exactly. He's in on all these talks. He's a New York City real estate guy. He grew up under Ross. The two families are super close. The reason he was approved is because Ross said, "I want him to have the team when I die or when I sell, whichever comes first." And so the next owner, he'll put his own little spin and touch on it. He's a billionaire. They all have their ways. But he's pretty much a clone of Ross. And if anything, he could be worse for all we know. Who knows? So everyone hoping for him to sell. Be careful what you wish for. Because with Ross, like I said, I think his heart's in the right place. He just finds a way to screw it up every time. And he's oblivious to how his actions affect things.
So Mike, I have to say this. You know what the story was at the trade deadline about the Miami Dolphins? The story was they didn't trade anybody.
They couldn't even get rid of Devontae Parker for me. They couldn't give me a small victory.
And I don't know if they couldn't or they didn't want to, because you remember we're talking about getting additional draft picks, and there was a report out there that the Dolphins were not going to try and mortgage now for the future to try and get additional draft picks. So it sounds to me like they really still do want to be competitive this year. Yeah. Even if we win all remaining 9 games this season, that's 10-7, and chances are you're not going to make it into the playoffs. But I think they'd rather see the Dolphins win a bunch of games, as many as they can before the end of the year, to allow for Flores to continue, save some jobs, come in next season, with a huge salary cap option, right? Because we'll have a lot of free agent money to be able to spend next year, re-sign a Mike Gesicki, which you have to do. He seems to be the most emotional player on this team, and you need him on this team. And then see what also happens with Xavier Howard, because it was Xavier Howard and Devontae Parker, who I thought also was going to be traded before the trade deadline, but the Dolphins chose instead to stick with him. So I think that's telling you a story about what's going to happen the rest of this year.
It's always tricky because our head coach loves cornerbacks.
Yeah.
And if the head coach has a thought that he's going to be here in 2022, he probably doesn't want to par with him, although they're going to have to break the bank to keep him in the offseason. But that's a story for February and March, not a story for now. So they probably want to keep that option open, and they figure they can trade him just as easily in February and March than they can now. So that one didn't shock me too much. The Parker one here's a catch-22. As we saw last week when he played. When he played, he actually plays well. The problem is he never plays. And the one other part of that is he has a team-friendly contract, so he's not making a ton of money. Right. But what you get from him, the point is you only get it from him like 6 times a year. So that's the issue. So that one's tough because when he's healthy, he can take over a game. Like in the first half of that game last Sunday, he was damn good. And it's like, why can't we see this every week? Like most normal teams have most normal players, but we're the Dolphins.
He reminded me why I always hesitated in talking about trading him. That's what he did in the first half, because he's a 50-50 ball player, and most of the times he's going to get those 50-50 balls.
And that's what Tua needs right now. He needs guys who can help him, help him out and have that big, as they say, catch radius. I always love that term, catch radius, because you never hear about it until like the lead up to the draft when they start talking about the prospects. He's got a big catch radius,
and he's got long arms, very lanky.
Catch radius. It's like nobody talks about catch radius when games are being played.
Yeah,
it's just one of those terms that just made for the draft. And
so what do you think the chances are for this weekend's game? And I know we'll get into that too. What are the chances that coaches just say, Tua, throw it down the field, see what happens?
Well, they can't run the ball, so they might as well throw it. And Houston's hit or miss. I was looking at their season. Obviously, just like Miami, they won week 1. We can talk about that now, but they won week 1 against Jacksonville, so they actually beat Jacksonville. Where's my notes? I got it here. Let me see what else.
Everybody beat Jacksonville.
Everybody but us.
Except the Dolphins.
So, yeah, they beat Jacksonville. They're either going to start – it's kind of up in the air quarterback between Tyrod Taylor and Davis Mills. Some weeks they score nothing. Like they'll score I think they score like 5 points one game, 3, 6. But some games they score like 22, 24, 30. So if this is a game where if they come out and score some points, Houston, Miami's going to have to keep up. If Miami has to keep up, that's going to be a challenge because Miami's not a team that's going to win shootouts against many teams. But if Miami can actually play like they did the first half against the Bills on defense and play for a whole game against a team like Houston, you might be able to get a win here. Because here's the other thing about Miami. 5 of the next 6 games at home. The Miami Dolphins, between today, November 3rd, and Christmas, have 1 road game. Think about that. Between November 3rd and Christmas Day, they got 1 road game. Granted, and there is a bye mixed in, and 2 days after Christmas they do play a game. But okay, for literally the next 2 months, they are in South Florida and they ain't leaving except for the one road game against the Jets. They got a stretch here. Again, we're a bad team, so it's tough to look at the schedule and say that's a win, because they're looking at us saying that. But
this stretch of the season is probably the easiest stretch of the entire season now.
Yes, but we did also come off Jacksonville and Atlanta and lost them both. So it's
right.
But if you want to factor those 2 games into this stretch, yes, because I think Jets twice, maybe a split. I think that's being reasonable now. From what we know, way back in August we weren't saying that, but now in November that's a fair take. You split against them. Yep. Giants and Panthers are toss-up games, kind of like Atlanta was. Toss-up game. Could go either way. Houston. Now, I wouldn't lay 7 points like they're favored over 7. You got to be out of it. I mean, if you lay 7 points, hand me your money. I'll take that bet. Because, I wouldn't lay 7 points. Maybe they'll win and cover. I'm sure one of these weeks they're going to have a laugher of a win Miami where they score a bunch and win, 35-10. Every team kind of has one in the year. I would think if there is a game, this might be it. But, they're favored by 7. I don't know. This is probably the most likely game to win. I don't see us beating the Ravens.
What about the Saints without Jameis Winston too now?
Saints without Winston, the Titans without Henry. Yeah. But those games, the Saints are going to be playing for a playoff spot. That's going to be, and plus it's prime time in the Superdome. That's a tough one. Tennessee still got like Brown and Jones. They still got weapons outside of Henry. And they just signed
the Tannehill revenge game too, right?
Tannehill's going to be motivated. He's going to want to come out there and shove it down their throats. So he's got to revenge. So this stretch that we're about to go down, where we're at home pretty much every game, is the stretch to get a couple wins. We don't own our pick, so there's no sense in rooting for them to lose. Like in previous years, I know fans would say just lose them all. There is none of that this year.
No reason to. Yeah.
You might as well root for them to win a couple and just look respectable. And just look decent and, find these young kids and hopefully you see something out of them. Put Tua aside. That's a whole different story with a lot going on. Everybody else, though, can, Hunt struggled last week and Robert Hunt, get better at right guard. Can he? I don't know. Let's hope. Play Hunter long. I don't need to see Smythe and Adam Shaheen every week. They're nice players. Put Hunter Long out there. Play him. What do we got to lose? Noah, if you're going to activate him for games, can you find I'm not even saying he's got it can you find 5 to 10 snaps a game? 5 to 10. That's all I'm asking for where you can play him. Let's see what he can do. Get him on the field for something. And, there's him. Who else we got?
I would say my guy, Jared Dokes, but I have to say that Patrick Laird actually had some pretty nice plays during the game when he was in.
Dokes, at some point, I think he will. I don't think they want to do it now. I think that the main issue is they've had issues with the running backs pass blocking. The only one who could do it was Malcolm Brown, and he's out. So if you're good, it's putting a rookie, God forbid he missed a block or he missed an assignment, and he got the quarterback hurt. He's been through enough.
Here's who I forgot, too.
Yeah, they like Ford way more than Merritt. That ain't going to happen.
Still weird, right? It's Ford, the guy who's been on our team 8 times.
He's like a bad penny, never goes away. I don't get it, but there's something. I'm not huge on Merritt like I know a lot of fans are, which I get. A lot of fans see something in him. I just don't. But at some point, here's the problem with our head coach. This was the problem in 2019. 2019, obviously, we started off 0-7, whatever. Everyone's like, just play Rosen. You lost anyways. Let's see what the kid can do. Why are you playing Fitzpatrick? You have no future with Fitzpatrick. You got nothing to lose with Rosen. We're losing anyways. Who cares? And he kept playing Fitzpatrick. He doesn't like to play kids. Yeah, I think that's part of the problem with the quarterback situation. I think our head coach is built for a veteran quarterback. He doesn't. I think we saw it last year when he took him out of games.
Yeah, it worked with Fitzpatrick.
It pains him to watch young kids struggle. He'd rather just have a veteran-laden team and just roll with It's funny because through their actions, they run off every veteran. But I think at quarterback, he'd rather have a veteran. So it's so confusing.
We'll have our choice, right? Because Aaron Rodgers is going to be available in the offseason. We're going to have
I don't know
possibly
about
Deshaun Watson.
I think Rodgers got some other issues himself about his vaccination. And
I hope he is healthy. But hey, listen, is it that time, by the way? Because I know we haven't.
We can do that now. And it was also reported today that because the whole thing with Watson, with Rodgers, that is a big story. our quarterback is vaccinated. Tua came out and cleared the air. And I actually, as I said after the game, he really is such a nice kid. Not that matters because it's a business. I don't care how nice he is. I want to see him play. But he falls on the sword for every mistake, whether it's his fault or not. I give him credit for that because our last head coach, Adam Gates, never did that. But he did come out today and say he is vaccinated. I 100% truly, he's being very truthful because he wouldn't be one to lie about that. So, like I said, it's good to know in case that were to come up here in the next 9 games. It's that time, Ian.
It is. I love this time, especially now.
Brace yourself. Winter is coming. What the writers of Game of Thrones didn't want to tell you is Bran was actually in a wheelchair because he didn't trim his balls with Manscaped. The poor guy thought it was okay to trim his balls with a traditional razor or hair trimmer. Not sure what you want as a gift for the holidays? Well, Manscaped is the ultimate gift, and they're here to change the men's grooming game, and you can get 20% off and free shipping by using the promo code Dolphins Talk at manscaped.com. Now, I got a bunch to read here, but let's not bury the lead, as they say. Ian, the fine people at Manscaped have sent us new products.
They did.
And 2 new products is the body wash and shampoo and conditioner. And you're going to hold them up for those watching on YouTube. Look at this. These smell fantastic, and they come in nice. What is those?
These are aluminum cans. These are, I think,
aluminum
tight.
cans.
Yeah.
16 ounces, I believe. Are they? Can you check?
Yes, sir. 16.
16 ounces. The Manscaped body wash has been redone, reformulated, as they say, and put in some nice tall aluminum cans, and also the shampoo and conditioner only at manscaped.com. So go there, as well as the new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts, and even has a light to help with your close shave down there. Down where? Down there. No need to have a red wedding situation next time you are going to trim. Have smelly feet? Manscaped can help you with Foot Duster, the foot deodorant made to fight odors of the dirtiest feet. Want to smell good everywhere? The Refined Cologne by Manscaped is clean and has a fresh scent designed for the refined gentleman. So everyone go to manscaped.com. Use the pro. Look at Ian holding up all the products.
Dude,
He's got all the gimmicks.
Ian's
got all the gimmicks. Look at this. Ian is that's why you're a VP of marketing. Ian Berger. Everyone go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code Dolphins. Get 20% off your order and free shipping. It's time to join the Manscaped movement because these products are no joke.
So listen, real quick too, and I know I have in the past talked about how much I love the scent of the deodorant, right?
Deodorant.
The shampoo is almost identical. It's almost the identical scent, and I let my wife smell it, out of the can. She loved it. She's like, absolutely loved it.
That's why it's Manscaped, because the ladies love it. It was Ian's anniversary.
And I'm not kidding. I'm being 100% serious.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I got it last night and I used it this morning, and it was she's like.
We always say the ads and the live reads, we have a lot of fun with them. They encourage us to have fun with them. It's a fun product. We get it. But at the end of the day, all joking aside, the products are really, really, really good. Like, if you will get your money's worth, those 2 cans right there are well-made, 16 ounces at a fair price. You get 20% off and free shipping, so you're saving money there. It's like, folks, if you listen to me for anything, if we don't agree on Watson or try Manscaped once. I guarantee you will be a loyal customer, and it's really, their prices are so competitive and cheap. When you get 20% off, it's like they're paying you to use this stuff. Really, don't. And the holidays are here. So if you got a father or brother or your wife even, she might like it. Screw it.
Well, and like I said, too, it's like the sophisticated bottle.
That is so well made. And
I don't have anything like this in my bathroom.
No,
so.
it's very well made. So, it looks rich, like a real product. Sports betting season is in full force. Now we got the World Series over, but we got the NBA, the NHL. You still got the PGA taking place. UFC is always happening each and every weekend, it seems like. College football, and yes, the NFL. Now, I got killed this week in college football. I've been having a great year this past week. Ooh, not so good. But that's okay. I'm still up overall, and that's all that matters. Now, you may already know this, but BetUS have been the pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That's BetUS.com. They have loads of bonuses, so join our or call 800-69-BET-US. Use the promo code DolphinsTalk and 125% sign-on bonus. Or if you're paying by crypto, use the promo code DolphinsTalk200. Get a 200% sign-on bonus. BetUS has all of your NBA, NHL, NFL games with team and player props, loads of NFL futures and NFL odds up. You can bet UFC matches, props, PGA, golf, and round matchups, live betting on most sports, including golf. The online casino has hundreds of games, and the racebook has all of your horse tracks from around the country. They have every bet type imaginable. So follow my lead. Get your phone, online, and social sports betting partner with integrity, longevity like I did. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid.
Nice work on that one. I don't have much to say about that. Fantasy football is it for me.
It's been a rough. So here's one. Let me tell you about my fantasy football. In my main league, not the one I'm in with you, the main league where we spend the most money. In most years, if I don't win it, I'm in the conversation to win it. I do very well. This year, just listen to this draft and tell me if it couldn't go any worse. Talk about like the Miami Dolphins season. Tell me if this is the worst year I've ever had. Round 1, pick 1, Christian McCaffrey. Round 2, pick 2. Or round 2, my next pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Round 3, Miles Sanders. Then, okay, so I got Prescott somewhere in the draft, and I also took Hurts. Both are having very good years. Okay, I got 2 strong quarterbacks, 3 running backs with a little red cross on IR. I need a running back. I trade Hurts for a package, and I get Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs plays 1 game, gets hurt. He's hurt. Hold on. I also drafted middle round, late draft, Henry Ruggs. How's that going for me? And I also drafted Julio Jones, who's been I should have drafted every player on the Bills or something, because it seems like my luck cursed all these players. It's just been a nightmare of a season. Like the Dolphins,
I'm sorry, man.
No, it's my fantasy football. I don't care. And like I said, most years I'm in it, and I'm in the conversation to win it, so it's okay to have an off year.
So Steven, he's in the chat right now.
Yeah,
we're in a league together. He offered to trade me DJ Moore and Noah Fant for Michael Carter. Would you do it?
Now I have Moore as the one player on my team who's actually played well. He's the one player who I haven't cursed yet.
And Michael Carter had a pretty bang up game last week.
Here's why I'd be. So you would get Michael Carter?
No, I would get DJ Moore and Noah Fant.
I would make that trade because I don't trust the Jets to do that every week.
yeah, you're right. You're right. So Good point. All right, I'll
that's my advice. I
almost hit the decline, but I'll look at it.
That's my thing, because I don't know if the Jets are going to do that every week. I think the Jets. I mean, obviously they look great last week. I would give them credit. I don't know. That scares me. And plus, if they go back to Zach Wilson, which I'm sure they will, I don't know what.
Mike comment. A Steven comment. That's me, buddy.
All right. So injury report came out for this game against Houston. I mean, there was a few players that were limited. Tua limited ribs and fingers. He's probably going to play. I won't read into it.
My dad was asking what the heck happened to his finger. I'm like, I don't know.
Like I said, that's the other part with Tua. I know he does have 9 games to sort of prove himself, either for raising his trade value or to win over some hearts in Miami to stay. He's got to stay healthy, because that's the one thing that would end this even faster. It's always something. Like he missed. People forget last year with the Dolphins. I think it sort of slips their mind. He missed 3 games with a thumb injury. He missed the games. Like he didn't. I mean, it's always something. I don't know if this is major, so I don't want to say that, but that's something to consider here with the rest of the year with him. He's got to stay healthy and on the field. I think that's why your guy might not get in there because of the pass blocking thing again, but who knows? Parker was limited shoulder hamstring. Same thing he had last week. I think he'll probably be
fine.
Play. Jerome Baker, who missed last week's game, limited with a knee. Brandon Jones was limited with an ankle. I don't know. I mean, Jones is probably okay because I think he played. He did play last week. He was fine. Baker, who knows? And when it came to Michael Dieter and Will Fuller, they aren't ready this week. And I think
But Coach Flores came out and said he does expect Will Fuller to play at some point this season.
Great. I mean, great.
Let's just here's what I'm going to say. If there's any time for this team to get their stuff together, for them to put up some points,
it's
for them to get Tua to show everybody that, hey, I'm a pretty good quarterback. It would be this weekend. Right? It is going to be this.
Here's
weekend.
A question for you. If they go, because they've lost every home game this year.
Yes.
If they go out again and if they lose to Houston at home, Houston with Davis Mill, even if it's Tyrod Taylor, I mean, I don't. If they lose to Houston at home, and let's say it's a game like the Colts where they didn't even put up a fight, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Even you, as one of the most positive people, not even fan, most positive people I know, would you come on here next week and not truly, genuinely, not like an act, lose it and be like, I can't believe this freaking team. I mean, would you be at that point? If they lost to
because
Houston,
we're 1-8, 1-7, 1-7 right now.
Don't say 1-8, because save that for next week.
Another loss at this point. I mean, we've already come to the decision. This is the lost season.
It doesn't really matter.
And basically, I'm just going to look for any positives, that we can get between now and the rest of the year. That's what I'm looking for.
Someone put up. I know for those listening, they're not going to see it. I don't know if you saw this one. This is good.
Oh,
Talk about Manscaped. That is great. We'd all buy a bottle if Grier would resign.
There's 40, so that's 80 bottles, right?
Support the Manscaped movement.
Yeah. Just make sure to use the promo code Dolphins Talk.
It's our promo code Dolphins at VP of Marketing. Bills Dolphins. I guess we should talk about that game a little. The first half, the Dolphins were there hanging with arguably, I don't know if they're the best team in the league, but they're in the conversation, probably top 3 team in the league. They were hanging in there. They were great on defense. That was the defense we saw every week in 2020. In the first half of that game, they were playing lights out on defense. They had a chance. First off, Sanders misses a field goal under 40 yards. Demoralizing, I know, but okay. Nobody's perfect. He's had a rough year, but okay. You can look, all kickers miss field goals at some point. I'm okay with that. But the drive right before halftime, at worst, you're going to get a really short field goal. At best, you're going to get a touchdown. And we're going to get the ball to start the second half, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And nobody could line up right. Our tight end, God love him, he's trying. He's the only one who knew the formation, it seems like, because everyone else was looking lost, including the quarterback, which kind of makes you nervous. That play swung the whole game, because if they would have got points there and they would have had a lead, maybe the Bills probably come back and win, okay. But at least they scored 11 stinking points last week. The Dolphins offense, again, the blame goes everywhere, quarterback included. It's a disaster. Here, look at the stats. The Bills ran 66 plays. Miami ran 64. Let's just call it equal.
Yeah.
Miami, 262 yards, 16 first downs. The Bills, 351, 20. They had 100 more yards and 8 more first downs. The Bills' offense was 6 of 13 on third down, 50%, which in the NFL, a head coach would streak through the stadium naked if they're 50% on third down. The Bills were 50% on third down. He had the tight end trying to line guys up. God love him, he's trying. I mean, he knows what he's doing at least. 21 of 39, 205, 1 interception. It's just the offense.
Touchdown on the ground.
He did rush for a touchdown, correct? Yeah. He had the rushing touchdown. The offense is abysmal on all levels, whether it's Jacksonville where you just score 20 points, or a team like the Bills where you just score 11. This is an offensive league where everybody puts up points, and the Dolphins cannot put up points. It's the problem they're going to have, obviously, for the next 9 games. That's not going to change in midseason. But how you fix it? Let's assume that he's back, Flores. He's got to fire more offensive coaches, which I don't know how you do this every year. And who's going to want to work for you when you fire your offensive staff every year? That's the fallout from this. When you fire a coach, if it's an offensive coordinator, or if it's an offensive line coach, if it's a quarterback coach, every year you're just churning through them. The quality ones aren't going to want to work for you. Because you'd be, okay, so if we struggle and if we don't play well, I'm going to be out of a job because everyone seems to go except for you. It's going to be tough to recruit players. That's the fallout from keeping him past this year. But the offense is a mess. And I don't know. I mean, it's a mess across the board.
So I just wanted to talk about the Bills game, and not that I want to rehash, but it's, we missed that first field goal, and there were 2 motion penalties. They almost looked identical. The only difference was the one right before halftime was the one when we fumbled the ball, but it was the exact same thing. And after that happened, and we went into, I said, there's no way we're going to win this game. I thought to myself, I thought to myself that was bad preparation on the part of the team and on the part of the coaching team, our coaching staff. because you need to make sure as a player that you know exactly where you need to be for any given play. And they were just coming out of a timeout too. That's the part that gets me the most. But as soon as all those things happen, I'm like, yeah, it's only 3-3. So my heart was beating a little harder. I was a little excited because I'm thinking, the last time we played the Bills, and I think they were up by like 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns at halftime already. So the fact that we were able to hold them to 3, I'm like, holy cow, is it possible? Could we potentially beat the Bills on the road? Right. And then the third quarter happened and we couldn't move the ball. The defense they weren't doing the same stuff they were doing in the first half. And that's how the Bills were able to move. So, and that interception, it stunk, but he was pushing things down the field at the end, Yeah, exactly.
That one, I don't care about that one so much. I care more about the ones against Atlanta than I do that one. Than the one against Jacksonville. But what drove me nuts in that game is right before half on the whole play with the whole sequence, nobody's lined up. 2, 1, you have timeouts to burn, and your head coach runs down the field, stands at the line of scrimmage like he wants to call it.
Gesicki's like, no, we got this, right? Didn't you put up a thumbs up?
I don't know who he was giving a thumbs up to, but whoever, head coach, you can't take the timeouts into the second half. You're the head coach. Call timeout and get guys lined up. That's number one. The other issue is, why is the tight end trying to get guys lined up? Why isn't the quarterback, the field general, trying to get guys? Why doesn't he know what's going on?
He should know exactly where everybody's going to be. There's no question.
Last year when he said he didn't know the playbook, and everyone says, well, yeah, but he was misquoted. But now you have tangible examples of this stuff. And I'm not going to say he doesn't know the playbook, but he should be the lead there, not the tight end. Is the point.
Yeah, you're right.
So between the head coach and the quarterback, that's why I can't get on the tight end, because he's the only one who seemed to know what was going on, and he's trying to make it work. So hats off to him. But your floor is you call timeout. What are you saving them for? This is the stuff that drives me nuts, and that's the stuff I think drives a lot of fans nuts. But look, this season did not go even. Look, Ian is considered the most positive fan that there is, and I think he picked him for 11 or 12. Wouldn't you pick? 12, right?
Oh, I did 12. Yeah.
You did 12. I think I did.
Yeah, there's no way we're getting there now. I messed up.
Yeah. I think we're both mathematically eliminated at this point.
Yes.
I picked 11, and I thought I was being, everybody, positive or negative, thought we wouldn't be in this situation. So everyone's wrong. There's egg on all of our faces. Even, if you want to call the most negative fans, we're saying like 9 or 10, which would be a pipe dream at this point. It's not going to happen. But so this season couldn't have gone worse. And in fact, they got 9 more games to go through. It's
just need some wins to feel good. That's what wins. It is. Even if it's not 9 in a row, even if it's only like 5 games, just to feel that,
Out of all the games they got left, beat the Jets twice, beat the Patriots at home, and if you just end the year with those 4 wins, I'll be happy. Really, I would at this point, because you're really not going anywhere. So win those games, because those games at least, I don't like those teams. If you play the Panthers and Giants, who cares at the end of the day? But beat those guys. We should take for Tua. And this, you know what? Josh Katzker, Same Old Dolphins Show, brought up a great point last night. It's and their show is called Same Old Dolphins, which I know it's got like a negative connotation, but it's more of a humorous connotation. People take stuff way too seriously in this world. So he brought, if Tua, quote unquote, plays great these final 9 games, by playing great, he's going to save the jobs of the people who want to get rid of him. That is Same Old Dolphins. Because if Tua plays great, and they go, the people who tried to run him out of town, he's going to save their jobs. And that's an excellent point that sort of sums up the 2021 season when it's all said and done. What else, Ian? I think that's about it for this week's show. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Last thing, it's fan club weekend.
That's right.
In Miami this weekend. So huge get together at Bow Campers on Saturday night, starting at, I think it was 5:30 to 9:30. I want to say it's the Bow Campers on Oakland and A1A, or right there off the water. Yep. And then the game, there's a bunch of fans flying in from out of town, and I think they take a real nice picture on the field after the game is over. And the person who put that together,
Fan of the Year. Right?
Fan of the Year. Yeah.
And we should probably reach out to him to have him on, because once again, talking about these games isn't a whole lot of fun.
I think after this weekend, his time will be more available. He's been planning like insane.
I'm sure it's a lot of work. We should try to get him on here sometime in season, at least one of these weeks. But yeah, absolutely. So check that out. Fan Club Weekend. kudos to all the fans who are still going to the games. I know in a year like this, sometimes it's tough. Go to the games, no matter. And I saw today fans online, fans of the Browns who were upset at Odell Beckham taking their jerseys, throwing it in the fire. If you get so mad at this team that you don't want the hats and the jerseys, donate them. We don't have to burn them. Donate them. Help
Donate
out.
them. Yep.
Because there's some kid who don't know the difference between Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Schmo. He doesn't care whose name's on the jersey or just donate the stuff. Be a good person. You don't have to burn anything.
Agreed.
You're not.
Agreed.
Look, if you don't want to root for him, you don't have to make a spectacle on social media. Make yourself the story. Just give it away and root for somebody else. You have that right. Everyone go to the website, Dolphins-Talk.com. We got a bunch of new articles, new podcasts, bunch of everything up there. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, leave me comments. I will respond, positive or negative. I don't back down from anybody. And, like I said, if you're a fan of the Bills asking why we're talking about this, well, you go run your Bills podcast. I don't need you helping.
I think we probably talk more about the Bills this week than we did last week, but it's all good.
I mean, and the Bills won. You're a better team. What more you want from us, folks? I mean, Bills, what more you want from me? You're a better team. You heard it, okay?
Awesome.
What else? You can follow Ian Berger on Twitter at Ian693_. Follow myself at Dolphins Talk. I don't know. We got so much stuff happening on the website. Even with the team sort of having it down here, the website numbers are great. The podcast numbers are great. We're still growing, and we thank you for all of that.
Thank you.
As I was telling Ian before the show, between now and the final game, it's going to be is what it is type of deal. But after the season, we're going to be a lot of activity around the Miami Dolphins. Who knows what's going to go on with the head coach and general manager? If they're here, they're going to go. Free agency, they have the most money to spend in the NFL, and they can create more easily. They're going to have upwards of $100 million to spend in free agency. They don't have as many draft picks as they have in previous years, but they still got a few draft picks. If they want to move some 2023 draft picks to 2022, they have that option as well, because in 2023, they have a bunch of draft picks. So it's going to be a busy offseason. Keep coming back to DolphinsTalk.com. We'll keep you covered. Maybe next week we'll get back to the mailbag too, just so I can play the jingle. So everyone, have a great Wednesday night. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you again after a while.
Fins up, everybody. Have a good night. Have a great week.